Good evening. Welcome to the Wednesday 8th, 2023 Planning Board meeting for the Town of Raymond. The Planning Board will come to order. I'm assuming the board does have a quorum. And we'll start with roll call. I can't see the picture of the board. Mike, you at the end?
I am Mike Richmond.
Mike D'Arcangelo.
Greg Foster.
Ed Kranich.
Mark Childs.
Kevin Woodbury.
And from Zoom, Robert O'Neill. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda, and we'll be considering tonight's items in the following order. We have the minutes from the February 8th, 2023 meeting. We have no old business. We have some new business, a site plan, sketch plan review for a 3 campsite on 26 Quarry Cove Road, followed by any staff communications or updates, and then adjournment. So our first order of business is the minutes. Were there any changes, deletions, corrections?
Move to accept as written.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And aye. Vote aye. Motion passes. Unanimous. Perfect. Our next order of business is the application by Michael, am I going to pronounce this right? Robillard, is that right?
Robillard.
Close?
Yep.
Robillard, okay. Not too bad.
Like Jason.
Jim's not here. Alex, are you going to give us a quick intro?
Yeah, I can. What I mean, this is sketch, so probably would be best to have the applicant maybe give an overview of what it is that they're looking to do. And then maybe once he's done that, we can go through Jim's memo and maybe Wayne can touch on some of his points, I guess, if that works.
Okay. This is our first campsite that I think we've ever done.
Oh, really?
I remember campsite.
Yeah, I don't remember one. Greg, do you remember a campsite?
No, I don't remember campsite coming.
Okay. Okay, the applicant?
Yeah. Hello. My name is Travis. I'm here to represent Mike here with his application for a 3-site campsite on his property at 26 Quarry Cove Road. It's a pretty simple orientation. He's looking to add a new driveway access to the middle of his lot. Off of that, he will place 3 new campsites for either an RV style tiny house type of camper, or he's also considering building 3 sort of small houses or campsites on the property that would be using foundations and everything like that. Each site will be served by a new well he's drilling on the property, potable water. Each new campsite will also have a new septic system designed specifically for this use, and then underground electric will be also brought to every one of these sites. The driveway will have a cul-de-sac turnaround at the end, and essentially that's the project. There's not much more to it. The developed area. One of Jim's comments was asking about the total developed area, and basically we will be sticking around 15,000 square feet of developed area for this project, which is 3% of the 11-acre lot that he has. Just to go over a couple more of his comments, I will be providing him with a stormwater plan that addresses the phosphorus export. Looking to, I believe I have to get up to 50 points based on different criteria, and I'm pretty sure I can get to there with essentially leaving a 100-foot buffer down gradient of of the development, which I think gives me 40 points. And then keeping the developed area 15,000 square feet or less gives me 10 more points. And that's my strategy, but I haven't got that down on paper for him to review as of yet. But and then I also did just today receive comments from Fire and Rescue. I haven't had a chance to go through those with Mike as of yet, but I don't see anything in there that's going to hold up the project, but certainly things I have to address with the fire department before any sort of votes here. But with that, I'd open up to any questions, and looking for direction from you guys on if this seems like a good project for the area, and we're on the right direction for all the town standards.
I have a question. Yeah, it was just for clarification. Are you talking about a campsite, or now are we talking about 3 structures?
It would be operated as a campsite, but he hasn't decided on if it's going to be. He's planning on providing the sort of either the RV style tiny house camper type vehicle, or building an actual structure. That's something we're gonna decide before the next meeting, based on the fire comments. I guess there's different standards depending on which route he goes. So we'll have to. I haven't talked to Mike since I got these comments, so I don't have a decision on that quite yet.
Travis, so Alex, if we're going for, excuse me, ma'am, this is not a public hearing. There will be a public hearing for this, but this is not a public hearing. Alex, I guess for you, will we consider this different if they're going to be structures as opposed to there's going to be a
So it's a site plan for a campground. So
right.
That would be multiple sites. It's not, wouldn't meet the private campsite requirements because there's multiple. You can only do one in that case. So it is going to be reviewed as a site plan for a campground, which could be 1 site, 2 sites. It could be many sites. There's a density limitation, which I think they figured out they could do up to 23 or something around there.
Something like that.
So when it comes to actually reviewing for a campground, it could be as easy as just reviewing the individual sites and not the campers, tents, or structures that might go on it if it's a park model or something like that. You could go as far as reviewing that stuff if that's what the applicant wants to do, but you don't necessarily need to.
I think if there's going to be permanent or semi-permanent structures there with utility hookups, a tiny house that's wired in and has sewage connected, it's different than a
Tent site, yep.
And it's more like 3 auxiliary or ancillary structures on the site,
Yeah.
which we do allow 1 per lot. So I think we need to resolve or clarify how that's going to be. What type of structure they're going to have, because I don't think you can have like 3 mini camps there, small wood camps that are set in place and permanent.
Wouldn't they be considered dwelling units at that point? Or perhaps? I mean, what would get them to that threshold?
They could, if they have, if they meet the size requirements and they have a bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, they would be considered dwelling units. And, just to compare it to maybe Indian Point or Kokatosi, they have somewhat similar structures. They're more like park models, which are basically tiny homes or close to tiny homes. They're a manufactured, unit that's not necessarily an RV. So we do have 2 existing operations that are run as a campground. Indian Point obviously is not something where you can just roll in and rent one for the weekend. They're all individually owned. So that's a little bit different. You do, I think, kind of where Ed is headed, you do kind of get into more of a subdivision than a campground once you start to go permanent like that. So I think that's what we need to figure out.
Alex, can I ask a question? So how is this, I mean, this is like a KOA that has cabins which has the same facilities that they're talking about. Isn't it how they use the cabins? I mean, if it's a rental of a certain period, or, you know, how do we have actually ordinance that covers campgrounds?
We do. In the shoreline zoning ordinance, there's a campground section, although I will say there's really not much to it. And then let me just check real quick.
I think our regulations refer to state regulations.
Yep.
And I looked those up today, and they have limitations on the time of, you know, yearly occupation in these places. And basically it would, at least the way I understood it, like I couldn't go in and own one. One person can't go in and own one of these tiny houses. Yep. And it's his all, you know, to do whatever he wants. It's a commercial enterprise where people come and go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the definition in our shoreline zoning ordinance isn't going to help you guys at all, but it might start the conversation. It's any area or tract of land to accommodate 2 or more parties in temporary living quarters, including but not limited to tents, recreational vehicles, or other structures, or other shelters, sorry. So an other shelter is kind of what you guys need to, I guess, maybe ponder.
Sounds like
I think temporary is the key word.
Is the key word.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you know yet what the owner intends to do as far as buildings he's going to use or structures, what he's going to put in there?
I mean, I think he's leaning towards the sort of tiny house on wheel type of thing, park model, camper type structure. I'm not sure he wants to build sort of permanent structures, and especially if it's going to bring in extra complications. Something that he can bring in and out, I think, would be more along the lines of what he's looking at.
So Alex, sorry, I missed your definition. Does that definition you just read preclude the current owner from selling any one of those to someone else?
Per the state rules, we wouldn't be able to sell them. Yeah, they'd only be for rent.
They would be rental
for campsites. Yeah.
Is the intent to winterize these? Would these be rentable all year?
He told me he wasn't sure on that. His initial thoughts was it was just a seasonal during the sort of maybe late spring to early fall, but he didn't. He wasn't definitive on that. I think he wants to see how it goes and if there's any market for the winter, but I don't have a definitive answer on that. I don't know if that changes things with it or not, but.
We should probably all get a copy of the state regulation for that, so we know what applies. Sandy, I can send you the link to that if you want.
That'd be good, Ed, and then I'll send it to everyone.
So some other things that I think you guys should probably ponder. I think one of the big ones is the access, the driveway or road. We do have that 8% grade thing that we got to figure out, how that's going to apply here. And then he already touched on the stormwater, which he's working on. And then anything else that Wayne would want to throw in. But if I think, and Wayne can touch on this, I think if they go away from permanent structures, it might make the fire stuff a little easier possibly. If it's not, actual fixed structures.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look up the PA codes, so I'm not sure what's going to be necessary if they are on
So
wheels.
what do you think about the road? I mean, do you have any idea what you're looking at for grades?
I've taken a look at some LiDAR information, and I think for the most part it's going to be 8% or less, but my concern with that is his existing driveway up to his house is much steeper than 8%.
That first part of it, yeah.
There's really no way to get around that. So I don't know if this 8% pertains to just where it forks off from his driveway or the entire length. We may need a waiver to allow that. I'm not sure where everybody stands on that.
It's kind of hard to
Yeah.
really say without seeing a drawing.
Yeah, I hear you. I just, if you look at the plan, his existing driveway, where, from where I'm showing the new road down to Quarry Cove, that driveway, there are sections there that are much steeper than 8%. I don't have those grades exact, but
Yeah, I would say it's
there's
probably steeper than 10.
Yeah.
Which, that's where Wayne's going to come in with NFPA. We've run into this actually recently. The 8% grade is actually not waivable.
Okay.
So I think that's another thing that we're probably going to have to work through on this, because if I had to answer, based on what I've seen, I would say that the entire driveway is going to need to meet anything that's passed to get to these sites.
That seems to make sense.
Yeah, I would agree.
How we've handled that in the past.
So it's not waivable because it's in shoreline zone?
Yeah, it's actually, it's in the shoreline zoning ordinance, which, we talked about last time as possibly amending down the road, maybe next year to get, the 10%, which is the standard, because we're more strict by going to 8. But I don't know that that's going to really help them either, because there's sections that first section's pretty steep.
Is it feasible to modify the existing driveway, reroute it at all to get an easy slope solution?
It might be. I'd have to take a closer look at it, but it's already sort of. Yeah, I'm not sure there's a. It would have to be a longer route, obviously, and I'm not sure where that longer route would have to come in.
Am I the only one that feels that we just need a better definition of what this is? If it's a campground that falls within the definition of the state and the word temporary, like Alex used, and then we're talking about permanent structures on a temporary definition, and that's just not. I don't know. It's not feeling good to me. I think we need to push back and get get a definition of what campground means and what type of structures will be on it. And I think move forward with anything, to even consider anything.
Yeah,
We're just unsure of what the structure is.
And that was part of the fire chief's comments, was he wanted to know what the structures were going to be.
Yep.
So we'll have that decision very soon, and it'll be addressed in the next package we submit. But to me,
it looks like that each individual site is well overdeveloped for a campground, for a campsite. You don't normally have a individual well and leach field for every campsite.
Right, it's just
One well.
There's only one well, but there are a lot of campsites nowadays that have all the utility connections. I've worked on several that's their model, is every every campsite has the three sort of main utilities, so.
Yep. And their own leach field, though? Is that what I'm seeing?
So I believe he's going with individual leach fields just to be able to keep these areas separate from each other. It would be tougher to do one leach field where you'd have to connect all three sites together. So that was his thinking. It was easier to do the three right near each site rather than one larger one. It saved on piping and I guess construction costs, but.
So I am just thinking that as a sketch plan review, for getting the board's opinion on which way to go, we kind of were presented with like 3 different versions of how you are thinking of going, so it's pretty difficult for us. I mean, it's not our job to kind of design the project to which way he wants to go. It would be our job to review what you're presenting as a viable project. So to me, it doesn't sound like the project has reached a definition where we can really give it, you know, any kind of comprehensive evaluation. Is that wrong?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm many miles away here, so if the board disagrees, please say so.
No, agreed.
I guess I would ask if you believe that the word temporary in the definition precluded an actual on-the-ground structure.
A permanent.
We would, a permanent structure, we would, we would take that out of consideration if that's the way everyone was thinking. I'd ask for your guidance on that, at least.
Well, I would say that a permanent structure puts it into a different ballgame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
To me, it looks too much like 3 home sites than 3 campsites.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, don't we have to check on the state regulations since we referenced those before we even say that?
Yeah, we have to look at the state regulations.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, wait.
From the fire department. In looking at this in our adopted fire code, and that's why I referenced there's actually a 4th code that could apply here, and that's why knowing whether it's a park model, which is basically an RV design, versus a tiny home is the more permanent structure. So, that's where a lot of the questions come from us and knowing which direction to go. So the park model to me, and I don't know if codes would look at it the same way, if the park model was used, being a recreational vehicle type of home, if that answers some of the board's questions, whether it's permanent or temporary, because a park model can be hauled away and changed out.
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to talk for him, but when we had a camper and did a lot of camping, and you come across these, it looks like a home, looks like a log cabin, but it's a trailer. And a lot of people are upgrading to that model because they like the looks of it. So I don't know if that's what he's referencing. It's not a tiny home, but it looks like it is.
Right. It's still
a trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize if there's confusion. When I reference tiny home, I am sort of meaning something built on a trailer with wheels, like a tiny house on wheels is more or less what I was referencing, rather than a permanent structure. At least when I'm referencing tiny homes, but sorry for the confusion.
Does the board think we need to do a site walk to see the land, where it's going?
Yeah, I think we need a site walk, but do we do it now or before or after the public hearing and when we get some updated plans?
Yeah, that sounds like the better way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that also.
Okay. So, Travis, what else besides the structure and non-structure would you like from the board for feedback?
I guess if you feel like this is an appropriate use of the area, sort of buffering, we're trying to locate it in the middle of the lot just to keep it away from neighbors as much as possible. We're not proposing any additional landscaping, but the woods are fairly thick out there, and I don't know if that's something you'd be looking for, additional buffering or not.
Travis, on the
Anyone?
survey, it shows a strip of land to the left. Looks like there's another parcel a short distance away.
Yeah.
What is that?
Woodlot.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
believe there's anybody living on that lot, but
I believe it's
I'll
Paul
double check.
Willis's.
This strip right here?
Yes.
I'll provide an aerial photo with the next submission just to show you the area and what we're looking at.
And a drawing with contours.
Yeah. I plan to
Outline
address all of Jim's.
It's a Fry Island property. What do they want?
Paul Willis from Gorham?
I'm not sure where he's from. Larry's from Brewer, that's his brother. That's the guy that sold this property, but
Interesting.
Okay, Alex, do you have anything else?
I don't.
The board have any other questions?
No, not at this time.
I think it could work as a campground as long as we resolve the issue with the type of structure that it's going to be. Whether it's,
that's his address.
too close to a permanent or a permanent structure, then it's not a
Yep.
campground.
Okay.
And just to be clear, so the applicant, did the applicant have, or did you review the memo from Jim Seymour?
Yes, I did. Yes.
So regarding the applicant should also provide calculations and narrative regarding site runoff. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. I plan on addressing all of Jim's comments with the next submission.
Wayne,
Similar
do
to
you see
the
a way of meeting the fire code requirements if they're not permanent structures? I mean, other than having a cistern? I think that's
even in the park models, a sprinkler system could be installed when you purchase those, and that would be the alternate to the cistern, is to go that way. And if it's a situation where the park model is winterized, that would be able to be done, and that would be the only time of the year that you wouldn't have fire protection, but they wouldn't be used either. So, and our wild land urban interface issue with snow on the ground is reduced or eliminated during the winter months when these units wouldn't be used. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess, Travis, anything else from you? Otherwise, see you at the next meeting?
Yeah, I probably won't have everything ready for the next meeting. It'll probably be 2 months from now before we meet again.
Yeah, the May meeting.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, that'd be perfect, because next meeting is going to be kind of busy.
Okay, yeah, no, I'll plan to get everything resolved, talk with the fire department about all their comments, and resolve Jim's comments, and try to come in with a clear application and go from there.
Okay.
Travis, your filing deadline then will be April 12th.
Yep.
By 3 p.m.
Okay.
Wayne, actually, I just have a question. If they're to take the structure completely off and just do sites, So someone, maybe if they want to come in and rent the site for a month and bring their own RV, are you thinking you're going to require a cistern? Is that what you're looking at in that situation?
God, I would hope not.
Yeah. For 3, I would have to talk with the fire chief, whether he was okay in waiving the cistern at that point. And I won't speak for him. So we'd have to look into that and work with the applicant on that if we went that route. The access issues, we still got to deal with those.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for anybody?
Nope.
So Travis, just going forward, probably the May meeting, we'll get a kind of a more formalized presentation. After that, we will schedule the site walk. Depending upon what comes out of that May meeting, we could do the site walk and then look at a public hearing in June, and we could, if we could possibly have a vote for the project on June, depending upon what obviously came out from the butters and the sidewalk.
Yep.
For a time off.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Q.
Alex, any staff communications or updates?
Just a couple of things. The select board is meeting next week. They had a pretty heavy agenda because they didn't meet in February, so they have pushed off the ordinance amendments to their April meeting, which still meets the time frame for June and everything. So I was hoping they would just do that in March and we'd know for sure that everything was good to go, but that's going to get pushed off until April. And then the other thing would just be the condo project is well underway at this point, and I haven't talked to them this week. I believe the plan was to have the underground water in the next couple of weeks. And I believe they're going to have that in and tested and everything. I'm not sure, Wayne, if you've had any conversations with them or not on that
Yes.
yet. Yeah. So,
the first fire hydrant actually went in today.
Oh, perfect. Good. I did issue the first building permit last week with a condition they can't have any combustible materials up there until it's been tested and approved. So basically they can get the foundation in is what they're trying to do. They'll be doing the first duplex and the first septic system. So we're rolling. That's moving, and it's been moving pretty quick. So I did see the schedule. I don't know if they're planning on doing multiple units. It looks like right now they're just going to start with the model building and see what they can sell, I think is kind of the plan. But it's definitely, it's been moving pretty quickly. So that's good. Other than that, I don't think we've got, and I'll let Sandy speak up if she wants, but it looks like next month is going to be pretty busy. We got some stuff in today, so.
Has the condo project installed the drainage yet? Tie-in?
No.
So what are they doing with all the water on the site? Is it
so they have,
on the street?
they're doing, they are having their erosion control inspections done like every other week. They're making sure that the site's stabilized. But at this point, I think they've got some of the parts and pieces up there, and they've started installing. So I think that's kind of where they're at right now. It was a pretty substantial amount. It's kind of funny. You're looking at the contours. It's always interesting to see once they actually start going, comparing the contours on the plan to the actual site. They actually took out a ton of material from that site. It was going up there, I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of stuff. But they were actually processing a lot of that right on site as they were pulling it out, and stockpiling stuff and moving stuff around. So it's I mean, it's been busy. I mean, they've had periods where there's been 7 excavators up there going, so they were trying to get it done pretty quick.
So hopefully you haven't heard anything about the owner's concerns about that driveway encroaching on. Good.
No, it's been pretty quiet. I mean, there's been
They get an axe.
a couple of comments from abutters, but I think they're working out some of the issues.
Good.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's mostly related to site clearing. I think he cleared a little bit more than some of the abutters were expecting on site. There really wasn't much there for a buffer, and if you look at the plan that was approved, I mean, they are pretty much cutting most of the trees on that section of the lot. The same thing, like I'm talking about with the site grading. Once it's done, I think it's always a little bit more on site. It's a little bit more drastic than on paper. So people kind of have that initial like shock. But I'm
The invasive locust.
yeah, I'm hopeful that he'll work it out with all the abutters and everything, and it's been pretty good so far.
Good.
But that's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Hey, before we adjourn for the board, does this work out okay with me doing this over Zoom? Would you rather Ed do it next meeting? Any thoughts?
I have to abstain from this.
Works for me.
It's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I
fine.
thought, all right.
We do have both the Potvin subdivisions coming back for next month, and I believe we have a new subdivision amendment as well. Anything else, Sandy?
Steer it.
Looks like you're muted.
Yeah, we've got, like you say, Potvin, we have Clark back, and then the new one is for a second amendment to an approved subdivision to create one more lot. And apparently the first amendment was to create one lot that went to a family member, and this one is also supposed to be for a family member.
And those are 2 public hearings, correct,
Yeah.
Sandy?
I would think so.
Yeah, Potvin and Clark are both public hearing, yes.
Okay.
The new one will not be.
What?
Alex, nothing from the marina?
Not a sound on
No,
our end.
not since I think a few weeks ago now, but nothing for next month.
So we're up for a motion. Right?
Someone seconded it.
I second.
Oh, yeah.
I missed who made the motion.
I made the motion.
Me
Right.
too.
Okay.
Greg, who wants out of here fast?
I got to make
Right.
a phone call.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, gentlemen.
Motion carries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you next month.